Well, welcome. My name is Ross. A couple announcements. First of all, we are going to trial filming today. The filming area is pretty much the back of the heads of these first two rows, and then this area here. So if you want to be on camera and you have a desperate desire, you could just kind of lounge like a Roman on these front two rows with your head kind of tilted, looking back every now and then, get your best angle. If you'd prefer not to, don't worry. The rest of you are well out of range. Also, we will not be filming the music. There's no way to get sound to it anyway. And communion ministry time won't be filming. And we think we have just about 20 minutes of battery life. So that will keep Ross on task. But that will be then posted to YouTube for anyone who's missed us on a particular week or has sick children or something. We aren't streaming it live because that's just way too much setup on a Saturday afternoon. There is a couple announcements, however. Announcement number one, I think we've got a birthday coming up, which is the CVM, we're going to start with Storehouse. Storehouse is accepting donations. We are particularly after furniture, household goods, kitchenwares, things to outfit a basically bare home. Many of you may there are a number of families that are being relocated to Manchester as part of some of the refugee support systems. They are given a home, but they are given nothing in it. And so if you've got four kids and no plates, that makes meal times very difficult. So anything like that, IKEA is amazing. We'll accept it. If you have questions, you're welcome to reach out to Storehouse directly. Details are on the church website. Equally, if you have someone who could benefit from Storehouse, feel free to refer them. Once again, you can refer them via the links that are on our church website. Another announcement coming, CVM's 7th birthday. That's America. It's getting up there in math. Thankfully, it's still within two hands. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 years. We've kicked things off. Next week, there's going to be a giant cake downstairs. There will be a free-from cake as well for those who have some allergies, and so we will have that catered for as well. Please join us. I personally can no longer eat half a sheet cake in a sitting. My days of that are now in my youth. That has now slipped away, so we're going to need everyone here to eat lots of cake. If you don't eat lots of cake, I'll make sure your children do, and I'll send your children home. And it's really well sugared. So please, everyone eat some cake. Also, that will be after downstairs, and you'll see the table. It's going to be hard to miss that cake. I'm going to open us up in prayer. Lord, we just thank you for letting us gather here on a Saturday afternoon. We ask you just to fill us and fill this place with your Spirit. We thank you for the week. We celebrate what you've done through us. For those of us who have faced difficulties and all sorts of drama and traumas, Lord, we just ask that you come and just overwhelm us with your presence, that stuff just slips away. Amen. We're going to start with a question today. And I've got the question, I wrote it out, but I've just remembered we have a special video we're going to kick things off with, don't we? Yes. We're going to start off with a video first. We're going to try video. This is the first video we've ever had in this facility. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, eventually, I'm sure Josh is going to edit this somehow. But if he can't, you're just going to have to watch this with no sound. So let the video rip.
Well, hello Vineyard family, my name's Susie and this is Zeke, and we are coming at you from Dreaming the Impossible headquarters. We wanted to let you know what happened with the Youth Festival in 2021 and what is coming up in 2022. So in 2021, after a crazy roller coaster of a journey, we met together in the summer. It was amazing.
We saw over 1,500 young people and youth leaders come over 2 consecutive weeks for DTIA and DTIB. It was incredible. We saw young people meet with Jesus for the first time, some of them giving their lives to him. We saw stories of breakthrough amongst young people and youth leaders. We had over 350 written testimonies from young people. Suze, why don't you tell us one of those stories?
Yeah, we had a young person come up to us on the first night of DTI. She'd had something happen to her 5 years ago, and she said, I've not felt peace in 5 years. But she was there in that meeting that first night, as we worshipped, as you heard the gospel, she said, I felt this kind of liquid love, this fire going through my veins. And she said, I felt peace for the first time in 5 years. Absolutely unbelievable. I asked her where she's at with her faith. She said it was a totally transformative moment. She's in following Jesus. She said, he's the only place I can find peace. Unbelievable. And so 2022, we are going on the third attempt to Staffordshire County Showground, and we would love to invite you guys to come and be a part of it.
Yeah, guys, firstly, the first people I want to talk to, if you've got young people in your church, please do whatever you can. Move heaven and earth to get them there. Secondly, if you want to serve, you've got the 30th of July to the 4th. It's not booked out. I've checked your diary. You need to book it out right now. We'd love you to come and be on team. We've got over 25 different teams you can serve on. We got cleaning toilets. We got food, we've got catering, we've got...
there's kids and there's first aid, there's sports, cafes. I mean, there's 25 different teams, there's loads of different teams. So from the 30th of July to the 4th of August, everybody that comes will get a free place, the opportunity to camp, food. It will be hard work, but you know what, guys? It will be so worth it because we together, DTI's never been about a couple of individuals. It's always been about an army of people, the dream team, who are up for coming together to serve, to sell themselves out, to serve the next generation. And we believe that God is gonna do, he's already doing it, but he's gonna do immeasurably more in the lives of young people right across these nations, different streams, networks, denominations. Come and join us. Don't leave it till next week. Do it today. We'd love to have you part of us. Head to our website, dreamingtheimpossible.org. And if we're not compelling enough, check this out.
If camping with youth sounds like the worst possible thing you could ever do, I know how you feel. But it is the most amazing time. When they say move heaven and earth, please do. To see 4,000 young people screaming out Jesus' praise, it just can't be beat. Yes, you'll be tired, you'll be grumpy, you'll have more facial hair than I'm used to. You will smell, but it is amazing. It doesn't ever rain for DTI, only Glastonbury. It did snow one year though. We are taking, if you don't have tents or you have youth that you know that would be interested, please let us know. It is booking out quite quickly. And I know that's usually the pressure move to try to get people to come. I'm not trying to pressure you, I'm just being honest. It used to be a vineyard event. It's now opened up since Soul Survivor has retired to all the different flavors of his kingdom. And it is incredible. There's 25 teams there. There's also a team from our church that's going. The teams actually are separate from the individual churches going. So if you're on a team, you won't be with us. You'll be catered for at a kind of the team compound, for lack of a better description. If you're wanting to come with us as youth leaders, please let us know. Both are wonderful. Julie and I will be going to cook for everyone. There will be some youth leaders that have already volunteered to take our team of youth there, and it's open to all different churches, so we're not fussed. So please come and see what God wants to do, and would love to have as many people from CVM there partying away. We will feast and we will eat well. I guarantee you that. So, and you and I will be catered for perfectly because I'm doing the cooking. No soya, no dairy, no gluten. Other things will be cooked with those three ingredients. It'll just be a both and, not an either or. So, so please come. I've got a question for you. And this is a question that is from this book, Counterfeit God, but I did hear this question again today. Do we want to be the best church in our region, or do we want to be the best church for our region? For or for? Why for? Or are they the same? So we got some fours out there. Okay, you don't have to raise your hand. Just shout out. This is old. This is Southern Baptist Pentecostal scream it out kind of stuff. So don't worry. I've been in that environment. It's fun. So. So church is not what we do inside the church, it's what we do for people outside the church, okay? I'm just repeating it so the people, because they couldn't hear any of that. But don't worry, that's why I'm repeating it. What other things? Are there some other fours out there? Why are we for as opposed to in? The first one is somewhat selfish. The other one is outward reaching. Okay. Let me ask you a question. How do you tell the difference? Yeah, English grammar. Yes, thank you. That is definitely, oh my goodness. That is a good call. No wonder Ross didn't like grammar. It's godly I didn't like grammar in school. Please do. I didn't say, and I haven't told you, you can reject the premise or you can say both. Yep. Yeah. If you've read the seven Gods comments on what was going on in seven churches in modern day Turkey, they weren't pleasant. He wasn't terribly pleased with any of them. So is it our job, and the reason I think is somewhat captured in, I have been around church my entire life. And I have attended churches on all different spectrums and all different flavors of his kingdom. I've attended churches that are on one side of one issue and churches that are on the other side of another issue and have burned each other in days gone by for believing one or the other. But I think the person who asked that question is trying to get at something. And what they're trying to get from, maybe incorrectly, which is why I throw it out to everyone here, because I didn't know what to think when I heard it, is, are we competing to outcompete the other churches in our region by having the best donuts or the best cafe or the best LED panel, the best band, the best facility, the most fun? Are we trying to entertain people? And generally what that means, from my experience, and this may be different from some people out there, is all you do is you end up stealing people from other churches. Because they go, better show over there. And then as soon as a better show is somewhere else, better show over there. And if you look at church history, at least in the last 40 years, you can see the ebbs and flows of who had the better show. You can check out the Christian artist CCLI. And I will tell you, in 1992, Vineyard occupied all 10 of the worship CCLI items. Vineyard is not even in the top 100 anymore. Or we were the best church for our region and not worry about any of that? Or could you do both? Maybe the best church in our region is also the best church for our region. Now, I do draw the line at smoke machines. Now, I do love a good smoke machine, but the problem is, my daughter's asthma doesn't work, so I can't have a smoke machine until you go to university. No, I'm kidding, I wouldn't do that. When we gathered CVM for the very first time, almost 7 years ago, we did not set out to plant a church, which was very frustrating for a number of people who wanted churches. They were extremely frustrated that we were not gathering on a Sunday morning. They thought that was very upsetting. We said, no, we actually are just going to gather in our house for a while and hang out. Well, that worked for about 6 weeks until we blew out our house. The lounge had no more room. But we still haven't ever set out to be the best church. We had a CVM1 last night, a vision and values gathering, and we will tell you in that gathering, and we have in the past, please go to another church. And some of you have been around when those conversations have happened. You say, what? You're not trying to recruit me? I'm not trying to recruit anyone. That's God's job. I'm just here having fun, doing what I'm told. If he tells me to feast and bring people to Jesus, that's good enough for me. But if you can't do that in our gathering, go find a gathering you can. Whoa, that's not your job. The job of the pastor is to grow attendance, building, and cash. Get on with it. Your trustees are going to be very upset with you because you're not taking care of business. I said, church isn't a business. I got upset. We've gotten some upset people with Cafe. If you want to, there's 3 things that I've gotten really snotty emails about in my time as a pastor. One is baptism. Oh my word, what a minefield. Second, Cafe. And third is kids ministries. Now the kids ministry emails, Julie takes care of. I don't have to worry about those. There you go. Julie, sort that out. Cafe, she kind of leaves to me. And we recently had a comment that somebody was very upset that we had extra food left over at the end of Cafe and how that was not stewarding God's resources. And I said, yeah, it's a shame. We didn't put the gold plates out that day. But no, I did remind them, and this is why they got very upset with me. I said, I seem to recall when Jesus was giving away free Subways to 5,000 people. He didn't get his catering right. See, the Bible records he had 12 baskets left, which signifies, for us people who may not be Jewish in the Jewish tradition, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 tribes. A complete overflow of resources and a botch of catering occurred that day. Did Jesus give just enough blood on the cross? No, the Bible records even the fluid that had surrounded his heart sac during crucifixion was pierced by a sword. He gave everything. We had another comment came in this was about 5 weeks ago during Messy Church. Said, we're kind of upset that you're serving Domino's. And I said, what has Domino's done now? Are they using slave labor? And they said, no, you should be using frozen pizzas because frozen pizzas are cheaper. I said, I said, well, you are right. They are cheaper. But I seem to recall there was this miracle, this first miracle that Jesus ever did. Water into wine. Did he do average wine? Did he do Morrison Special, Aldi cheap wine? No. He did the best wine that master of ceremonies had ever tasted. And most of the people drinking it would have been stone cold drunk anyway, so that everyone realized it, except the master of ceremonies who still had some wits about him. He gave the best. And I said, I don't know much about pizza. And I certainly don't know much about frozen pizzas. Because I don't eat pizza anymore because they've got gluten, they've got dairy, and if they got neither one, they usually have soya. And the stuff that doesn't, the pizzas taste awful. Yeah, the coconut cheese, oh no, you just can't. It's not. Well, anyway, I'm glad you enjoy it. That stuff is dire. At least my perspective it is. But, sorry to break, that's why you can have all the pizzas you want. But the reason that you're upset with me is you've seen Domino's and it is signifying a premium pizza experience. And I said, well, I kind of want to do just the miracle that Jesus did and give away the best pizza I can. And that's, to me, the best pizza there is. If you know better pizza, let me know. I got a, and I don't think they ever came back. See, it may not be a good question. It may not be, that question may make no difference to you. But I think there's something in that question when I heard it that's a warning that we don't get caught up trying to compete with the best cafe. The reason we serve a massive cafe is because at 4:30 it's tea time, people are hungry, and you need to feed them. And if we went back to Sunday mornings at some point, the cafe would change because you don't want to eat Domino's pizza except if you're, well, between the ages of 14 and 21 at 10:30 a.m. it would change. But if you're going to invite people to God's house at 4:30, feed them. Don't make them starve until 6, especially if they're young. They'll all cry. And if they're old, they get very grumpy, and then they send you snotty emails. But what does it look like to be the best church for a region? Well, I asked a question 5 weeks ago, and I said, if CVM closed today, would anyone but you all even notice? Would anyone notice outside the people that are here? And there's a couple people shaking their heads. And why would they notice? Because they would miss our amazing ministry times on YouTube? I doubt it. Although, bless anyone who's watching this. You're amazing. Why would they notice, Lucy? Why? There'd be hundreds of families that would not be catered to by kid stuff. And storehouse. There would be hundreds of families that didn't have clothes, that didn't have furniture, that were cold, that were left out. And let me tell you, I don't think that need is going away anytime soon. It's only going to grow. When we started CVM 7 years ago, we walked up and down Prestwich High Street and we said, God bless it. Bless every business. And we said, Ross, there's some businesses on there that are a bit, questionable depending upon which spectrum of God's theology and which flavor of his kingdom you're in. I said, well, bless them. Bring them to Jesus. Because at the time, there was a bunch of empty storefronts. And that just isn't a great look to have empty storefronts. Because empty stores, rats, graffiti, general decay, it's not fantastic for your community. So we prayed. 3 years later, we tried to get a storefront for kids' stuff. Well, the problem was we couldn't afford the rent in Prestwich anymore because they'd all filled up. The average turnaround was 4 weeks from a venue coming open. That's what it means to bless you. He goes, well, Ross, that's not in the church. It's supposed to be for 2 hours a week or less if I can find one, and that's it. No, God's kingdom is the whole week. This is just the celebration together. That's it. And we've been looking at what our gods are, and based off a book called, and if you haven't read it, please read it, Counterfeit Gods. And basically it asks a simple question, what is God in your life? But the problem is most people would say, well, I don't have a God. No, you have a God. It's just either a heavenly God or it's one you've constructed. And see, if we want CVM on year 7 and on to be used by God, I've looked through the Old Testament and the New Testament, and there's something very important but very not talked about that occurs before God uses a group of people, whether or not you want to look at the Bible or you want to look through church history. This is one example in Joshua, deep in the Vintage Testament. And then Joshua told his people, purify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among you. 2 things that really stick out there. 1, purify yourself. Sounds boring. 2, God does great wonders. No. We don't talk about Bruno. No, we're not going to talk. No, it's I do the stuff and I get the credit. No, it doesn't say that, does it? God does it through us. Shucks. What do you mean? The book of Acts, which is every church planner's dream book. Oh, look at that, 5,000 people. Oh, they'll invite me to conferences to talk about how I got 5,000 people in 2 church gatherings. Oh, this is great. It says God added them to their number. So Ross, if CVM grows, can you take any credit? No, I can't. The fact you're here today is a miracle. The fact that CVM is still around for 7 years, that is an outstanding miracle. That's all God. Nothing more. I can't take any credit for it. But what is the thing about purity? What? And they also had to get circumcised. Ouch! That comes later on. That's not, what? I'm going to another church because that doesn't sound like fun. Book of Romans and Acts chapter 17. Modern day Athens, great holiday venue. Some of you may have been there. Lovely warm weather. Guy named Paul did the same thing. Decided to stay away from the German tribes and stay along the southern Mediterranean where it was nice and warm. Good call. He goes to Athens and he says, I noticed you are very religious in every way, for as I was walking along, I saw many shrines. He says, well, I don't have any shrines, Ross. I work with a colleague who's based in Madrid, and do you know what he calls Royal Madrid's stadium? The temple. This is, what you do, Jose? This weekend he says, I went to the temple. So I said, what's the temple? I was asking a colleague. He says, it's Royal Madrid Stadium. He has season tickets. He loves. I was like, oh. Have you ever been to this place? This weird and majestic place with watches, statues. It's called the Trafford Center. Have you ever been to this place? You've been there? Unbelievable. I can't believe it, Emily. And could anyone out there describe what this place is? Because I could see basically, of all the questions and everything I've said, the most excitement I've seen in this crowd when I mentioned the Trafford Center. Good golly, I've hit the magic sermon illustration. What is this place called the Trafford Center? It's ostentatious. How else would you describe this? Expensive. For many people, not you yet. Yes, the designer went beyond his limit in LSD. We'll come back later on what a safe limit of LSD is, but oh dear. You can write our church leaders. They're in Chester Vineyard, and you can tell them that Ross is recommending LSD in church. That'll be an interesting conversation. So, what else is? Why are people excited about the Trafford Center? You can go shopping. There's 14,000 parking spaces at the Trafford Center. And I know this because I've had to park in parking space 13,198 on Boxing Day. And walk in the glorious Manchester sunshine just to get inside the door to the Trafford Center. And what does the Trafford Center, what is it a shrine to? Shopping. And as you walk through, you see, what do you see? You see stores that have branding, most of it, millions of pounds of bright lights. Shrines, to be sure. Shopping. I don't have any gods, Ross. Oh, yeah? You guys are almost excited about, I just hit the God that most excited most of you. How many churches or gathering places where people worship God or come together to celebrate what He's done during the week need 14,000 parking spaces? Not to mention the cost of keeping that tarmac, we call it asphalt in the U.S., just not potholed. I mean, that's nuts. Sports stadiums. Any of you might have that were Man United fans last night? See? I had a friend tell me, I never had to ask my dad what the score was. I could tell by his mood. Yeah. Middlesbrough? I don't even know where Middlesbrough is. I asked Julie last night. I said, where is this place? And she just went, So, yeah. I had a guy at work, and he said, Ross, I need a company car. And I was at the time responsible for the company carpool. And I said, well, it's going to take about 90 days until your company car comes in. Here's keys to a Vauxhall Zafira. Brand new. He goes, I don't drive Zafiras. It's like, I'm driving a Toyota Yaris, which is like 10 years old. A Zafira is lap of luxury. He goes, no, you don't understand. I can't be seen in a Zafira. I need a real car, Ross. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but that's all we have. And he said, that's just not good enough. You need to get me a proper car. And I said, well, what would be a proper car? And I said, well, an SUV or something that isn't like pedestrian. I can't be in a family car. I said, well, why not? Well, I just can't. I can't be seen in that. I found the shrine. How do you know what your God is? Remove it and you get grumpy. Simple. In my wife's case, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this. Pepsi Max. In our house, what's it called, Emily? Happy Juice. In my mom and dad's case, coffee. You didn't talk to them in the morning until the coffee was drunk. Maybe it's Red Bull, maybe it's running, maybe it's jumping up and down, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's working out at the gym. You name it. All those things are fine. And there's nothing wrong with going to the Trafford Center, by the way. Especially if you're going to eat a bar burrito. Yes, yummy, yummy. But there is, at the point you're grumpy if you don't go, maybe there's something going on there. There's nothing wrong with going to watch football, and especially if it's American football, the right football. And my wife loves it. She and her dad had season tickets to watch the 49ers for years. And when we were dating in high school, she would invite me in 50-yard line season tickets to watch, and I would not want to go because what? 6 hours? Why? Just watch it on television. Who needs to drive to San Francisco? I was the only probably boy in that high school that was not excited about going to Candlestick Park and watching the 49ers on a 50-yard line. All those things are wonderful. And there has been in the history of church a movement that says, no, you have to give up everything and just go out in the desert and be alone. There's nothing wrong about alone retreats. Go for it. But they forget something. When God created the world at the end of the sixth day, what did he proclaim? It is great. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the great stuff God has given us. There's everything wrong with replacing God with it. And and this is what we do. You must not make for yourselves an idol of any kind or image of anything in the heavens or in the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God and will not tolerate your affection for other gods. If you want to do the stuff that God has designed you to do, you got to go, you got to purify, and you got to get rid of the idols, whatever they are. Says, Ross, that means I need to give up football? No! But just be more excited about what God does during the week than what the score is on Saturday. Do I need to give up Pepsi Max? No. Oh, please, God, keep that being produced. But no, you need to ask yourself, can I give it up? And if I can't, do you have to give up coffee or tea or swimming or working out or running? Or if you want to go drive something other than Zafira, all that stuff's great. But do you worship it? Do we worship it? Is Julie and I's goal to fill these pews as fast as possible? No. Sorry. If you're here wanting to be part of the cool church that's growing rapidly, that's not our goal. The goal is to see 300 more families served. That would be very exciting. And you know what? If we do that, God will add to our number. I was asked by our senior coordinators, our area people, said, Ross, what would you like prayer for? John and Anna Simmons in Chester Vineyard. And I said, all I would ask for is that God would pour out his Holy Spirit on us and through us. Do that, everything else takes care of it. No one cares about Cafe, really, because they're so excited about worshiping God. No one cares what the score was. No one cares what car they drive. No one cares what their neighbor drives. No one cares if you go to the shopping or you don't go shopping. Doesn't matter. Enjoy it if you got it, but if you don't worry about it. Why? Because of that. Do we want to be the best church in our region, or do we want to be the best church for our region? I think we can be both. But that is not the best for us. It's the best for him. we're going to do communion. I thought, you know what? If we're going to start on something like figuring out what gods we worship, communion's a pretty good place to start. And this is what Paul, writing to a church in Corinthians, said. And he said they were a bit wild. They had a few issues. So anyone who eats this bread or drinks this cup of the Lord and unworthy is guilty of sinning against the body and the blood of the Lord. This passage doesn't get a lot of airtime in most churches, by the way. This is why you should examine yourselves before eating the bread and drinking the cup. For if you eat the bread and drink the cup without honoring the body of Christ, you are eating and drinking God's judgment upon yourself. And this is why so many are weak, sick, and some have died. Ouch. Ouch, man, that's not very happy clappy, Ross. See, God gave everything. He gave His Son. He gave us this amazing world. He gave us all the different things to enjoy. Some things like sugar, maybe too much. But do we worship it, the creation, or do we worship the Creator? So I'm just going to ask you, the camera's going to go off, we're going to celebrate communion, and I'm just going to ask